Hey awesome coders, this is Mr. Wagner. Right now what we're going to do is we are going to work on pong11. Pong10, let's see what we got. When we ran pong10, we basically had the left paddle here sort of following what was happening with the ball. Okay, now that all looks great. Except it's, maybe a little bit too fluid and it doesn't always catch the ball. What I'm thinking we should do is probably add some randomness to this particular game. And this is a good time because you can learn how to use random in Python. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and close this. We have pong11 going. Okay, so on line 6, we have import pygame and time. Those two things we have been using. And what we're going to do is we are also going to add random to this. Okay, so now we can use random variables, and that's a good thing. Now, to start out with, I think a good place to have randomness is like when the game starts, okay? Where does the ball XY go when it starts? And let me show you how to use random in that case. So let's look at 15. Ball X is 400. So if our X size is 800, maybe what we want to do is have like ball X be anywhere from like 300 up to maybe 600. Does that sound good? Or 300 to say 500. Okay, so the way you do that is you type in random and then I'm gonna hit dot. And I want you to notice I got a lot of things here that automatically popped up, and idle does that for you sort of auto-magically. And you can look through all these different methods that random object has. And the one that we're going to use is called randint, okay? And randint stands for random integer. And I don't know if I explained this in an earlier video, but an integer is basically any number like negative, I don't know, a billion or something, all the way up to a positive billion, including 0, but not with the decimal points. So -5 would be an integer, 15 would be an integer, 0 is an integer, -10,000 is an integer, 100,000 is an integer, okay? So we're trying to figure out a random integer, and this random int basically takes a start. Here, let me do this. It takes a start number and an end number, and it includes those. So if we do 300, 500, that's going to give me a random integer between 300 and 500, but it can also include 300 and 500. Okay. So ball X, random, randint, okay? So let's do the same thing with ball Y, random.randint. And let's see here, let's go from 100 all the way to 500, okay? So basically, if you have your screen, the Y can be anywhere from 100 all the way down to 500. And anywhere from 300 to 500 on the X coordinate. Okay? See where that runs. Now, if we watch it really carefully, really quickly, you'll see where it starts out. Okay, so it started out like in here. Okay, now if I close this and let me rerun again, run module. Okay, it sort of started out about there again. So let me close that and let's start this out again. Run module. And that time it started out up here. Okay, now, that'll become important, especially once our game decides that, you can restart a new game and stuff like that. So you're not always like playing with the exact same field, I guess, right? Okay, so the next thing that I want to do, and I was playing with this a little bit as I was making this lesson, is you notice how this left thing, it just sort of goes up and down, and it's not real fun, okay? So I think, you know, if as this ball is moving, maybe instead of it going up 1 or up 2 every time or down 2 every time, maybe it'll be like anywhere from like -1 all the way up to like +5 or something. Okay, so in other words, it'll go up and down depending on how much. Okay, so let's close that out and let's take a look at this down here. Okay, so if we look at our code for our if ball Y is less than paddle Y plus this. Okay, so this is basically below the bottom half of left paddle, and this else is basically above. Okay, so you got below the paddle and above the paddle. So if we are below the paddle, how about we do left paddle Y plus equals, let me grab my notes here. We're going to do random dot rand int -1 all the way up to 5. Okay, so in other words, if we're down below the paddle, we'll either go up just 1 or we'll go down 5 or anywhere in between that -1 to 5. Okay, and let's do the exact thing with the left paddle. Remember the minus equals, not the equals minus. You gotta be careful about that. Let's do a run. And you'll see it's like a little bit shaky, but it looks like it's catching that ball just a little bit better, see? So let's see if I can play this game a little bit. I kind of want my right paddle to move a little bit faster. Seems like I'm having a hard time keeping up. Okay. Okay, so I'm kind of liking that. Let me see if I can move this paddle up a little bit faster. Let's see where our paddle was when our paddle up or down is 2 or -2. Maybe let's make this 3 and -3. That should move that paddle up and down a little bit faster. Let's run that. Almost caught it. It's like you have to anticipate it a little bit. Oh. All right. Well, it seems like the game is working pretty well. One more thing, let's get the ball going just a smidge faster, because I think our game is actually, the guy who started Pong, he basically said you want a game that's easy to learn but hard to master. So let's make this game a little bit harder to master. Oh yeah, look at this, now it's flying. Oh, I was never very good at video games. I always liked to program them, but so I would have won that point. And it looks like I would have won that point, but he would have won that one. All right, now the game's getting kind of fun. All right, let me see here. Let me look at my notes. All right, I think we did some really cool stuff. And I encourage you to play around with colors, play around with the speed of the program, play around with anything that you want. I mean, the worst case is you just have to copy and paste the code back from my original or something like that. And but this is all learning experience. If there's something you don't like, see if you can fix it. All righty, take care. Bye.